In this world, nearly everyone is reduced to being mere reproductive instruments, solely to bring forth the rare few with potential. A century ago, there was an uncontrolled surge in malevolent spirits. They began a mass slaughter of humans, leaving only this select few capable of becoming psychic masters. A psychic master, able to wield spirit energy, resists and combats malevolent spirits. Every spirit is bound to an item called a spirit artifact. Only those chosen by a spirit artifact in the 100-day ceremony can enter psychic master schools. Radley Cheng's second psychic master school, they're about to hold the spirit awakening ceremony. Those who fail will be confined as breeders in the inner city, all for the race's continuation. In the classroom, students have already gathered, whispering amongst themselves. It's said that all commoners must have 10 children by 30, though some disagree. But even if the ceremony fails, less than 10% survive. Wait, someone's coming. Lin Feng turned and saw a barely human figure. It's hard to tell if it's human or ghost. Lin Feng realized his chance to change fate had come. 13 years ago, he was merely cast out by his parents for choosing a spirit artifact with a weak ghost aura. In these turbulent times, family bonds are rare. Without parents' protection, he often faced abuse from bullies who trampled on his spirit artifact. They mocked Lin Feng, "This weak ghost aura suits a loser like you. Why not call yourself a spirit waste?" They sneered at the bruises covering him. Yet the intensity in his eyes was unyielding. The humiliation Lin Feng endured made him realize strength controlled his fate. He cleared his throat softly, determined to make today's spirit awakening ceremony a success. The speaker began, "Hello students, I'm the head of the Liu Chen Second Master Association. I'm also supervising this spirit awakening ceremony." As the students wondered if this person was human or ghost, the supervisor went on. "Enough talk, take out your spirit artifacts." Everyone complied immediately. In such a crucial moment they couldn't afford to relax. As the students stared at their spirit artifacts in confusion, the supervisor instructed, "Concentrate your spirit on the artifact in your hand." Lin Feng pondered what kind of spirit such an artifact might summon. Seeing everyone was done, the inspector formed hand signs, eyes glowing blue, exuding an eerie aura. A chubby boy's spirit artifact bled uncontrollably, alarming others. Panic spread as a blonde girl's artifact also reacted, its temperature steadily increasing. As it heated up, Lin Feng observed curiously, wondering why his own artifact didn't react. Amidst chaos, the inspector reassured, "Your artifacts are reacting to my aura. This shows your companion spirits are still present." Hearing this, some people's eyes dimmed. Some grew angry, realizing they might be reduced to mere breeding tools. The inspector went on, "If your artifact shows no reaction, your companion spirit has long gone. Please leave." One student couldn't handle the news. Overwhelmed, he pointed at the inspector, shouting, "You're not even human." Lin Feng thought, the paper figure is controlled by a psychic master. It's serving as a stand-in. While the companion spirit was silent, Lin Feng's spirit artifact was unresponsive. A hefty guy approached and sneered, "Lin Feng, you're just shelter trash. That bow of yours will never amount to anything," he taunted. Lin Feng's eyes were cold. Lin Feng stared and stopped him from jeering, "You're just a lowly breeding tool. And you think you could ever become a psychic master? Go ahead and try it." Meanwhile, the chubby guy started loudly mocking everyone. "And you useless ones who can't awaken, why don't you just go home?" Provoked by his taunts, some couldn't resist raising their fists to fight. He failed to notice the supervisor's suddenly icy gaze behind him. Then to everyone's horror, he dropped dead on the spot. Lin Feng's pupils contracted, a cold sweat breaking out. This was the strength of a psychic master. The supervisor spoke coldly, "Those with potential to be psychic masters are in a league of their own. Now leave." His voice was icily threatening, leaving Lin Feng with no choice but to turn and leave. Doubt crept into his mind. Is my fate truly unchangeable? Lin Feng pondered. While Lin Feng was desolate, the others in the classroom were thrilled as they followed the supervisor's lead. Everyone summoned a ghost spirit, but then something went wrong. The chubby guy who was mocking everyone earlier suddenly screamed for help in terror. A sinister magic blade hovered in front of him, and he suddenly lost control. He let out an uncontrollable howl and ghostly energy burst from his mouth. Someone realized his ghost spirit was actually evil. Before anyone could react, the guy was possessed, his muscles ripping his clothes apart. He now looked like a demonic figure, laughing maniacally as he started to raise a blade and attack his classmates. The nearest classmate was injured by the magic blade. He looked at his wound, still losing ghostly energy and clearly hard to heal. Terrified, the students in the classroom quickly ran away. But the paper doll overseer did nothing to stop it, seemingly using the evil spirit as a test. In the moments Lin Feng pondered, the heavyset guy rushed out, spotted Lin Feng, and charged straight at him. Lin Feng froze, unable to react. In the nick of time, the system activated, sensing a companion ghost forming in Midra. A complex formation appeared. A girl in white materialized from the formation, appearing before Lin Feng. She blocked the deadly blow for Lin Feng. Lin Feng thought, "This is my companion ghost." The system notified, "Summon successful." Ghost experience increased. With 50 ghost spirit pills and 1 cubic meter storage space, he admired his companion ghost spirit girl. The system displayed her at reboots, F-level ghost spirit with the star skills tearing ghost technique, and a bond level of 60. Meanwhile, the system prompted. The ghost spirit needs a ghost spirit pill to upgrade. Do you want to proceed? Seeing the beautiful face of his companion ghost spirit, Lin Feng didn't hesitate to say yes. The ghost spirit upgraded to E level, granting Lin Feng a 30 boost in physical strength. He clearly felt an improvement in both his hearing and vision. A man possessed by an evil spirit was facing off against the young girl. Physically, they were clearly in different leagues. Ignoring the current situation, the system issued another task. Name your companion ghost spirit for better communication. Receive 20 experience points and 10 bond points for naming. As Lin Feng gazed at the ghost spirit before him, a familiar figure flashed through his mind. He promptly named the ghost spirit Tong Tong, and once it had a name, Tong Tong's powers were confirmed as the evil spirit mode. The fat man, possessed by the evil spirit, looked at Tong Tong and seemed to sense a threat. After a roar, he unexpectedly went into a frenzy, a truly terrifying sight. Even the paper doll guardian standing nearby sensed the danger. It rushed out of the classroom, ordering everyone to step back. Facing a frenzied fat man, Lin Feng grabbed a stool. Though Lin Feng's eyes were sharp, Tong Tong's abilities remain uncertain. It's too risky to let her handle a D-level evil spirit. Even as a psychic master, you must stand on your own. Fatty Lin Feng, clutching a magic blade, charged for the chair. Lin Feng narrowly dodged the blade, feeling the rush of air. The wind brushed his cheek, but he smashed the chair into Fatty. To Lin Feng's surprise, Fatty staggered back a step. Fatty quickly regained his balance, ready to stab Lin Feng from behind. Lin Feng feared it was too close to dodge. He misjudged his limits. Luckily, Tong Tong emerged just in time. She gripped the blade, blood streaming down onto Lin Feng's face. Lin Feng was deeply moved before he could even rise. Tong Tong's from changed outfit tinted snowy or captivating. Her aura turned sinister. This was her ghost technique, evil spirit mode. With a burst of power, she snapped the blade in half. It appeared insignificant. Even the paper figure monitor was stunned at the ghost spirit's strength. Giving Fatty no time to react, Tong Tong swung her scarlet claws in a backhand motion, her ghostly aura surging. Like a streak of light, directly hitting Fatty and sending him flying helplessly into the air. She wasn't finished yet. Tong Tong brought her fist back, gathered energy, and struck swiftly again. Fatty was knocked back helplessly as the ghostly aura clinging to him slowly dissipated. A system notification declared the evil spirit's demise. The first battle earned 80 spirit points, 10 affinity points, and a ghost spirit pill. Though different from the upgrade methods taught at school, the system's rewards were really generous, making Lin Feng eagerly anticipate the future. Activating evil spirit mode drained too much energy, so it returned to the spirit artifact. Those who thought Lin Feng was doomed suddenly became very friendly towards him. They began to praise Lin. Feng is amazing. We should definitely team up with him. The inspector, admiring Lin Feng, wondered how he could be so strong and said, "You're very talented. And very brave. I didn't notice you earlier, but now I see." The inspector formed a hand seal and a blue flame rose at his feet, engulfing him. He said, "Report to the outer city in 2 days. That's all for today." Before vanishing, the inspector looked at Lin Feng. The newly awakened spirit has E-level strength, surpassing its rank. What incredible talent Lin Feng has. After the formidable overseer left, Lin Feng murmured to himself while gazing at the bow in his hand. "I'll nurture you well, Tong Tong. I will become the greatest psychic master." The young man lay on the bed, resolved not to let anyone walk over him. He spent the afternoon fixated on that bow, not because it was a gift from his partner, but because inside his companion's spirit resided. When Tong Tong appeared, the temperature around them noticeably dropped. When Tong Tong appeared, Lin Feng praised, "Great job today, Tong Tong." Tong Tong's fair face was expressionless, appearing somewhat indifferent to Lin Feng. Are spirits really unconscious, or is Tong Tong just too weak now? She only gains consciousness after upgrading, so Lin Feng chatted with Tong Tong to see how she would react. Chatting with Tong Tong for 5 minutes boosted her skill by 5 points and strengthened their bond. Lin Feng was astonished that just casual chatting could boost experience. Could constant chatting make her stronger? Lin Feng examined Tong Tong's system panel. Lin Feng noticed Tong Tong's unique evil spirit mode, never encountered before. A-level spirits lack ghost starts, and Tong Tong's experience is max. Yet Lin Feng decided against using spirit pills to upgrade her, wanting to avoid unwanted attention. First, he needed to figure out the system's features, especially ways to gain experience. Lin Feng cautiously patted Tong Tong's head. Despite her lack of form, the system showed her skill and bond each increased by 1. Lin Feng taught Tong Tong the English letters A to E and brought her along. They watched horror movies together, all the while observing Tong Tong's reactions. He even taught Tong Tong how to wash, only to realize her reflection wasn't visible in the mirror. Only her clothes could be seen. Remarkably, after such a busy night, he gained 50 experience points and 10 bond points. Lin Feng needed sleep, but Tong Tong didn't. She sat quietly beside him, simply watching. Lin Feng couldn't shake off the odd feeling. The next morning, as he appeared, he immediately drew everyone's attention. News of his defeat of a deal-level evil spirit had spread by then. Lin Feng paid no attention and walked towards the car organized by the school. The people behind him continued whispering, trying to figure something out. Under the teacher's guidance, all the students orderly boarded the vehicle. As they boarded the vehicle, they discovered spirits inside. Lin Feng glanced at the bow he carried, thinking Tong Tong's lack of reaction meant it was harmless. The teacher, now on the bus, said, "Don't be surprised. The outer city is full. These are friendly spirits, so no need to be surprised. They're a source of companion spirits. You need to live alongside them to survive the outer city." The teacher added, "Sometimes hearts are scarier than ghosts." The vehicle soon reached the road to the outer city. The transport halted for inspection at the checkpoint. The Psychic Master School's documents were in order, allowing clearance after inspection. The school vehicle drove through the long corridor towards the outer city. This meant the students were entering another world. After emerging from the passage, the students looked back. The outer wall of the inner city is a captivating sight. A millimeter-thick gold layer covers it, blocking spirits from passing through. This is the legendary Golden Wall, where the gold wards off spirits. This is a crucial measure to protect the inner city from invasion. Arriving in the outer city, they first saw a magnificent statue. Workers here are usually over 40. Since they no longer focus on starting families, they work here. A group of spirit students arrived at the registration area. A flurry of paper fragments flew in, merging together. The paper overseer reappeared and explained that from now you will undergo a 3-month training to become a certified psychic master. Now, everyone should pick up a map and locator. Then head to those buildings to find your accommodation. Be aware that each house holds a trapped evil spirit. If you can handle the spirit, the house is yours. You can't team up with others or go solo to claim a house. This is your first test. Bigger houses have stronger spirits. For a challenge, try claiming a villa. After the paper figure inspector spoke, the system announced. The task to win a standalone house as a reward. Earn 100 to 1000 ghost energy based on house size and +1 to spirit potential. The girl stands out wherever she is. She approached Lin Fei and softly asked, "Lin, shall we team up?" Her big eyes were irresistible to any man. But Lin Feng was still a boy. He turned away, saying, "I like to work alone." The girl froze, clueless. No boy had ever turned her down before. People behind him mocked Lin Feng, claiming training wasn't a big deal. Lin Feng ignored everyone's reaction, unfazed. He headed straight for the villa area. Watching him go, they couldn't shake a thought they didn't want to believe. Is he really planning to tackle the villa area on his own? They were right. Lin Feng reached the villa area alone, where the ominous vibe was unmistakable. Deeper into the villa, where the gloom was thickest, Lin Feng spotted someone on a deck chair. He spoke up, "Hey uncle, how do I get into the villa?" The uncle didn't answer. "Listen to me, kid. It's dangerous here. You should head back. You're just not strong enough. These villas were meant for you students. But no one's lived in them for 10 years. Lin Feng was puzzled. "Is it that no one dares to come, uncle?" He chuckled. "No, it's just that everyone who came before is dead. This villa has sea-level spirits that even certified second masters might struggle with." He thought Lin Feng would back off, and indeed Lin Feng started to ponder. After some thought, he realized Tong Tong is only E-level, 2 levels lower, making entry very risky. But he still hadn't used experience, so he quickly accessed the system to upgrade Tong Tong. In no time, Tong Tong advanced to a D-level ghost, enhancing Lin Feng's physical abilities by 80%. The uncle noticed Lin Feng pause briefly before stepping forward. He was a bit annoyed. "Didn't he get it? I've warned him, but he insists on going in." Lin Feng pushed open the villa door, confident that a D-level Tong Tong in evil spirit mode would certainly hold their own against a C-level ghost. Upon entering the villa, Lin Feng found it eerily silent and deserted. He started to wonder where the C-level ghost might be hiding. Suddenly, a commotion came from the second floor. Lin Feng looked to see a shadow swiftly glide by. Lin Feng quickly followed, heading up to the second floor to find out what this mysterious shadow was. When he got to the second floor, it was clear and empty. Lin Feng held his breath, focusing all his senses on his surroundings. Suddenly, the sound of chopping and clattering filled his ears, conjuring an image of a chef in Lin Feng's mind. Hearing the sounds of chopping and a maid carrying plates, Lin Feng turned and rushed into the kitchen. He opened the door to find an art room with utensils and a few clothes lying around. Lin Feng started feeling a bit restless. After all, fear of the unknown is the worst. It's better to know if you should fight or flee. Just then, a boning knife appeared behind Lin Feng, aiming to stab him. In the nick of time, Tong Tong appeared to shield Lin Feng. When Lin Feng turned, Tong Tong was already facing the unknown figure. Missing his blow, the male ghost quickly retreated with an eerie stride. The ghost fled down the corridor, and Tong Tong quickly followed. Lin Feng yelled for Tong Tong to stop, but she had already disappeared from view. The maid uniform materialized and attacked Lin Feng with a machete. Luckily, Lin Feng's quick reflexes helped him evade it by a hair. But things weren't that simple. As Lin Feng lanced around, he realized he was encircled by mate spirits. Facing the three figures, Lin Feng felt the urge to retreat for the first time. He couldn't understand why, with the villa supposed to have just one ghost, why there were so many spirits and why Tong Tong was stuck in combat and able to return. Luckily, before entering the villa, he boosted Tong Tong to level D, enhancing his body. He barely managed to fend off the three mate spirits. Their movements were unnaturally twisted. Spotting his chance, Lin Feng sprinted out of the trap. Once near the kitchen, Lin Feng spun around, worried about a rear attack. Instead, he saw the mate outfits collapse to the ground. Lin Feng quickly realized that only by stepping into the room could they move. To test his idea, Lin Feng cautiously nudged a foot inside, and the clothes stirred at once. A strange shadow appeared, confirming Lin Feng's suspicion the clothes weren't entities but the spirit's power. Its movement is restricted. It went to great lengths to lure him to the second floor. Suddenly, Lin Feng understood. Tong Tong was deliberately led away. She's in danger. Lin Feng searched for her. In the main hall, he finally saw Tong Tong surrounded by various clothing spirits. Lin Feng shouted into the hall, "Tong Tong, it's a trap. Get out now." The male attendant ghost was already hiding, waiting for a chance to attack Lin Feng. The ghost attacked, and Lin Feng immediately grabbed his golden blade. He remembered it led Tong Tong away, the only one that could move freely. Despite chaotic mind, Lin Feng's hands moved with ease, striking down. The male attendant ghost's ambush failed as Lin Feng struck it, but it still fought back. The boning knife plunged in, leaving Lin Feng shocked. Why didn't golden blade work? The ghost butler lunged at Lin Feng again, forcing him to retreat. As Lin Feng entered the hall, the ghost butler was immobilized. It was an apparel ghost. However, the situation hardly improved once inside the hall, as it was already filled with apparel ghosts. All the apparel ghosts turned their attention to Lin Feng, maybe thinking he was an easy target. They charged at Lin Feng, but he stayed calm. It was the perfect distraction with all eyes on him. That way, Tong Tong was able to escape. He quickly used the spirit artifact to summon Tong Tong back. With Tong Tong gone, the apparel ghost attacked Lin Feng even more fiercely. He was now the sole target in the hall. Lin Feng backed out of the hall swiftly on his toes, the clothing ghost scattering. Yet, he didn't stop. He knew the male servant ghost would soon regain mobility. Before the male servant ghost could rise, he sprang into action. When the male servant ghost regained mobility, it could only watch as Lin Feng leapt to the ground floor. Unpredictable dangers lurked everywhere in the villa. Before landing, Lin Feng noticed the target spot seemed unstable. Then, right in the male servant ghost's gazing eyes, Lin Feng smashed through the floor with a crash. Lin Feng plunged into the basement, realizing sea-level spirits are truly tough. Lin Feng quickly sensed something wrong as Tong Tong jumped forward to guard him. Tong Tong stood against a sea-level evil spirit. The spirit devourer was shocked by the evil spirit's true form, and Lin Feng was equally shaken. Before, he used his powers from a distance, and it left him helpless. Facing him directly, the spirit devourer unleashed its tentacles to attack. Tong Tong stepped up with the tentacles in front of her, yet the spirit devourer was relentless. The onslaught was too intense for Tong Tong, and a tentacle struck her, sending her flying. Realizing he couldn't stay idle, Lin Feng unsheathed his golden blade and stepped up to defend Tong Tong. He cut down the attacking tentacles buying her time, but he was only human. Caught off guard, he was ensnared by a spirit devourer's tentacle. With a slight effort, the spirit devourer sent Lin Feng flying. Tong Tong reacted swiftly, but she couldn't catch up as more tentacles advanced to block her. Tong Tong couldn't move as Lin Feng was engulfed by the soul-eating monster. Despite his struggle, the blade was utterly ineffective. As time slipped away, with only half his body outside, Lin Feng felt being absorbed, strength slowly fading. The paperman inspector arrived at the villa, surprised that Lin Feng had entered alone. With 10 minutes already passed, the paperman inspector dashed through the gate. The villa's evil spirit is strong even for a C-class threat. Lin Feng was nearly completely swallowed by the soul-eating monster. Consciousness blurred, surrounded by eerie, grinning faces. Seeing Lin Feng's dire state, Tong Tong's anxiety spiked, activating evil spirit mode, ribbons swirling. The swirling ribbons blocked the attacking tentacles as she bravely charged forward. She lunged at the endangered Lin Feng, daringly entering the devour spirit. At last, she embraced the unconscious Lin Feng, feeling a rush of energy envelop her. The devour spirit instantly sensed something was wrong as the ghostly faces on its forehead twisted in fear. In fright, several red blades suddenly shot out from within the devour spirit. The paperman inspector sensed the turmoil in the basement and instantly felt something was wrong. Knowing the devour spirit's body was down there, he flashed into the basement. The scene before him defied all his expectations. Red blades kept shooting out relentlessly. A massive cloud of dust erupted in the basement. Even the man outside the villa felt the intense commotion inside. As the dust settled, the paper figure overseer stared intently ahead. The sea-glass spirit was instantly vanquished, leaving Tong Tong wholly and unconscious Lin Feng. Lin Feng was unconscious. Unfortunately, the battle had taken its toll. Tong Tong, also drained of energy, returned to the spirit artifact. System notification: Battle 1. Spirit TXB 1000, Potential 1. Lin Feng awoke to the system alert. He narrowly escaped death. The paper figure overseer confirmed he was fine. Silently, the overseer retreated. At the Yucheng branch, a jade-fingered ant with a blue flame. The camera zoomed out, showing Yan, president of the Yucheng Second Master Association. Through the paper figure overseer, she watched as Tong Tong defeated the Sand Spirit Devourer. It's astonishing and truly unbelievable. Lin Feng's spirit is unique with two forms. The second form boosts combat power, which is no mere luck. His potential suggests he might be the legendary spirit communicator. The old butler was stunned hearing spirit communicator. A spirit communicator upon birth is usually sent to the headquarters. Liu Chang isn't qualified to train them. Could they have missed him during selection? It's no wonder he doubted. Spirit communicators are crucial. They are born with the talent to command multiple spirits, especially in these strange times. Originally, only spirit communicators can become second masters. Rarely living long, often perishing to stronger spirits or evil entity backlash. Many became ghosts. Over the past century, spirit communicators explored, sacrificing lives. Safer mass rating method for second masters was developed in villa area on Yucheng's outskirts. Lin Feng calmly walked out of the villa. An embarrassed uncle greeted Lin Feng, surprised he had managed to resolve the issue, and handed over the villa. When Lin Feng reached the registration desk, Olanqiu informed. Occasionally, whispers came from the crowd. You're in a single-story house, right? Me too. I heard one woman got an apartment by herself. One woman got an apartment. There are 5. And we only got 1. I heard about a guy who dared to take on an apartment alone. The ghost was killed and he's over there crying. When it was Lin Feng's turn, he confidently handed over the villa's key. The registrar looked surprised while people behind Lin Feng talked about how he killed it. How could they have dealt with the villa's spirits? Aren't Class C spirits supposed to be in the villa district? He was on his own with exclamations of outgoing from behind him. The registrar praised you as the first psychic master under 20 to live in the villa. Here's your ID card, which you can use too. Make purchases, communicate, and accept tasks. It holds 10,000 contribution points as your living allowance. You'll need to cover your expenses by taking on asks for the next 3 months. Lin Feng calmly accepted the card and walked away under the admiring gazes. Knowing Lin Feng lived in a villa, many young girls admired him. They wanted to be Lin Feng's girlfriend to live in the mansion, especially since the apartment gives only 3,000. While others have to share, Lin Feng enjoys the whole 10,000 by himself, living in luxury. Walking down the street, Lin Feng brought out Tong Tong, feeling grateful for all she has done. Lin Feng reached out and gently patted Tong Tong's head affectionately, saying, now that we've got the bonus, let's go shopping. Tong Tong nodded in agreement. Lin Feng's hand froze in my dread. Was Tong Tong becoming self-aware? They drove to Zhuqiu Street to a shop called Tab of Free. Initially, Lin Feng considered. Despite a 10,000 bonus and 3 months left, spending around 1,000 should be sufficient. The next second, he was stunned by the price of 800 for a single blanket. Lin Feng just went along pretending the weather was still warm. He planned to buy it later, but Tong Tong gave him a big surprise. Tong Tong seemed gifted in shopping, spending over 600 just on tissues. No problem, Lin Feng reassured himself, it's good to stock up. Tissues are always handy to get used. As long as Tong Tong's happy. She then showed her shopping skills by sweeping the snack aisle. Regardless of what she needed, she also focused heavily on clothes. No girl, including Tong Tong, can resist the lure of clothes. Not even the armory fascinated her as much. Lin Feng wasn't spared either. He resigned himself to thinking Tong Tong must have her reasons. Just as Lin Feng thought he was done, a system alert hit. Storage is full. Spend 500 to upgrade. It wasn't until evening that Lin Feng returned to the villa with a cart full of goods, and Tong Tong clutched it. Big doll, unable to let go, staying close to Lin Feng. This shopping trip cost over 9,000, but seeing Tong Tong so happy, their bond grew stronger, making Lin Feng feel it was worth it. Back at the villa, Lin Feng began planning, needing to earn money before it ran out. The association mandates completing 12 tasks in 3 months to qualify for second master rating. But the newbie tasks are too easy, only involving E or F level ghosts. Funds are limited, so to upgrade Tong Tong, I need a tougher challenge. Lin Feng then browsed the list of intermediate tasks. The sea-level evil spirits were a challenge, and the water ghost mission looked fitting. It's a perfect chance to explore outside the city. Lin Feng suddenly sat up from his recliner when he noticed it was an intermediate task. With others competing for the task, Lin Feng had no choice but to take it. The last remaining sea-level task to handle the hungry ghost in Grain Town. The next day, Lin Feng rushed to Grain Town, bustling with activity. In the rural outskirts of Willow City, several defense lines guarded by second masters ward off large-scale threats. Ghost waves sometimes manage to sneak into Defense Zone 1, though it's relatively safer there. This area hosts numerous large factories and warehouses. Seeing the second master was a child, the great office staff were skeptical. But Lin Feng insisted, leaving them no choice but to tell him the truth. They took out a map and followed it to find the food storage cave. On receiving the news, Lin Feng promptly left. The people at the fruit office believe he was unreliable and too weak. If he insists on risking his life, it's their job to just wait for his news. In this world, smog blocks sunlight, so the city uses special machines to clear it. In the wilderness, half an hour of direct sunlight daily makes Ghost's high day period known as safe time. Lin Feng hurried through the forest to the mission site, amazed to find the granary entrance so tiny. With only 2 guards, he discovered the granary's vastness. The ghost hiding there was unique. It only ate food and didn't harm people. In just a week, the ghost consumed thousands of pounds of food. Whenever a psychic master arrives, it hides completely out of sight. After grasping the situation, Lin Feng glanced at his chest. The bow is set. Tong Tong, it's showtime for you. At Lin Feng's call, Tong Tong appeared in a flash of brilliance. Lin Feng immediately asked, "Do you sense the ghost aura?" As Tong Tong appeared, she sensed something, fixing her gaze on the entrance, leaving the others confused. Could it be? The starving ghost was outside, but Tong Tong remained unresponsive, lost in thought. Suddenly, Tong Tong sprang into action, activating evil spirit mode. At that moment, a crack appeared on her forehead, capturing the crowd's astonished and certain looks. The crack suddenly opened, revealing the 3rd ghost's eye. Lin Feng was taken aback. He was shocked, wondering when Tong Tong acquired this ability, unknown even to a psychic master. After Tong Tong turned on her evil spirit mode, the others were too intimidated to move. With her ghost eye, Tong Tong quickly surveyed the area and pointed to a granary. The pointed-out staff member looked bewildered and lost. What does this have to do with me? What's that ghost up to? Suddenly, a creaking sound came from his pocket. His pocket began to warp as if something inside was struggling to get out, and Lin Feng realized that the starving ghost was actually inside his pocket. Before Lin Feng and Tong Tong could react, the ghost possessed him. A lot happened in just a short amount of time. By the time everyone realized, the starving ghost had already lunged while another staff member remained confused. What was happening? He shouted, "Old Key, what are you doing?" Lin Feng braced for battle as the starving ghost drew near. Lin Feng raised his foot and kicked him in the face. Thanks to his training, Lin Feng's immense strength sent him flying over 10 meters away. But it wasn't over. Old Key was being compelled to pounce again. Lin Feng knew his kick could seriously injure anyone, but Old Key, agile, remained unfazed. The ghost, strong. As Lin Feng planned his next move, Tong Tong appeared before him. With a swift movement, he grabbed Old Key's neck and applied a sudden force. Old Key's mouth gaped open without his control. Nobody expected Tong Tong to suddenly thrust her hand into Old Key's mouth. Lin Feng watched in tension and shouted at Tong Tong, and his words caught in his throat. He realized Tong Tong had yanked the hungry ghost out without hurting Old Key. But Lin Feng and Tong Tong overlooked one thing: the hungry ghost was sea level. Powered up to sea level in evil spirit mode, Tong Tong briefly lost grip on the hungry ghost. It shot directly toward Lin Feng and another staff member. Suddenly, Lin Feng and another warehouse worker were swallowed by endless darkness. Horrified, he exclaimed, "We're inside the hungry ghost." Lin Feng realized the peril they were in. This must be the realm of the starving ghost. Turned out just as Lin Feng had imagined. Suddenly, countless mouths appear in the darkness. Cackling eerily, the domain, a ghost-crafted realm, amplifies their powers. Once inside, you vanish from the view of anyone outside. Tong Tong had lost Lin Feng from sight and was now alone in the domain. The starving ghost attacked them. From a hidden angle, a tongue suddenly shot out. Sensing movement, Lin Feng quickly sidestepped him like his companion. Unable to dodge, he was caught by the tongue. The tongue seized its prey, pulling back swiftly and swallowing the person whole. His screams echoed throughout the entire domain. Lin Feng wanted to help but was helpless, unable to save himself, frozen in a daze. Suddenly, a bloody maw appeared and clamped onto his left foot. Cursing under his breath for not noticing, Lin Feng plunged the golden blade down. The golden blade warped. Lin Feng bent down, prying open the jaws with his other hand. As he tried to free his foot, scarlet claws suddenly burst out. The claws erupted violently, unleashing a storm of re-energy blades, collapsing the domain. Tong Tong's godlike, demonic figure was burned into Lin Feng's memory. Lin Feng couldn't believe Tong Tong had ripped the domain apart by force. Maybe the golden blade had shown her the way, as a system message came through. With the announcement of the hungry ghost's death, Tong Tong gains 800 experience points, 10 bond points, and Medivar skill. Seeing Lin Feng safe, Tong turned off evil spirit mode, and a rare concern crossed her calm face. Lin Feng gently pat her head and said, "It's okay, Tong Tong. I'm here." With the issue resolved, Lin Feng returned to the grain office. The 2 people in the office were surprised to see Lin Feng back so soon, thinking he might have been scared. But what Lin Feng said next shocked them. The evil spirit was already dealt with. Coincidentally, someone confirmed it, and the instruments no longer detected any ghost energy fluctuations. Lin Feng received top honor psychic master, and his contribution points were credited. Lin Feng left without looking back, caring only that the money was in place. Back at the villa, Lin Feng felt relieved seeing the money, after being short on cash. With nothing else to do, the system delivered some good news. In 3 days, if Tong Tong reaches sea level, she will be rewarded with a domain. Looking back at the morning starving ghost, weak for sea level, but the domain is very strong. Getting trapped can easily result in injury. Having a domain would be a great advantage for Tong Tong. With some free time, Lin Feng noticed Tong Tong's potential had significantly grown. She's reached 3 stars with abilities like Terran Ghost Eye and can activate Evil Spirit mode. She acquired a new devourability, giving her a 30 chance to absorb opponents' ghost energy or items. Having a domain will make Tong Tong even stronger. It seems necessary to upgrade Tong Tong in 3 days. To hurry her promotion, Lin Feng took her on a spree of D-level tasks. Once Tong Tong activated Evil Spirit mode, dealing with D-level spirits was simple. In days, they completed all D-level missions in the outer city, leaving many second masters struggling to form teams. By the time team set, the missions were gone. At night, Tong Tong gained enough experience. He advanced to sea level and gained his own domain. Lin Feng reaped benefits as well. He increased his bond by 20 and gained 5 times physical enhancement. As he gazed at Tong Tong from afar, Lin Feng pondered what Tong Tong's domain was like. He needed to activate it and discover its secrets.